Thanks for being patient, everyone. Good morning. My name's Shelley Bueller. I have the pleasure of serving as chair of the commission alongside Commissioner Archer and Commissioner Cook.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to our August 19th meeting. Madam Clerk, the first item, please.
First item, item 1, proclamations presentation. Number 1, presentation regarding a campaign to discourage texting while driving.
And Terry is here this morning, and commissioners went ahead and put this on the agenda. Go ahead and come on up to the podium to bring awareness to this topic, but also to get the commission as a whole approval.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so good morning, Commission Chair Bueller and Commissioners Cook and Archer. I'm Terry Diebel, Director of External Affairs for AT&T here in Topeka, and having one less camera this morning doesn't bother me in the least. So, very, very appreciative of the fact that we're proceeding. Yes, here to request your permission to participate in an event with the County Commission and also the employees of Shawnee County to discourage texting while driving. National Safety Council estimates that more than 100,000 crashes a year involve texting while driving. People who are texting while driving are 23% more likely to be involved in an accident than people who aren't. And according to surveys, 49% of commuters admit to texting while driving. And unfortunately, that number's actually gone up a little bit, as we would hope that we would be bringing it down, which is to the point of raising awareness about this cause. And so the request is for an event on September 19th, and this would be an event that would be associated with the It Can Wait National Drive for Pledges Day. This will be a nationwide day in which there will be activities and events across the country to raise awareness and discourage the practice of texting while driving. So the hope here, the goal here, is to have an event on that day for local government here in Topeka and Shawnee County. And the general idea, but of course with your approval, I will work with you and with anyone on Shawnee County staff on the details for this event. But the general idea is to have a formal type of presentation brief somewhere near or over the lunch hour, and hopefully, weather permitting, maybe out on the steps here associated with the county and the city complex. Other things that could be done associated with this would be a resolution from the county commission encouraging residents to not text while drive, putting information on the county's website. We would hope to have banners that employees and visitors and guests could sign. The banner could later be displayed somewhere in the county offices. Have ways for employees and visitors to take the pledge to not text and drive. Bumper stickers to hand out. We would, of course, want to involve law enforcement. So a variety of activities that we would then work on with you and with whoever you would designate for the county. The event, too, would be intended to involve the city. Here at the city and county complex being so close together, we would hope to attract a good crowd. And so we would involve Mayor of Topeka and their council, besides law enforcement district attorney's office. So the goal is to raise awareness, to get people to take the pledge, and to further discourage this dangerous practice. So, any questions?
Thank you, Terry. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Is
Thank
this
you.
something that we would want to participate in then?
I'm
And
open
go
to it.
forward?
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Me too.
And so Terry, I'll follow up with you.
Okay.
We can maybe schedule a time to meet and then coordinate that. It's a month from today.
Yeah,
so,
a month from today.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Are there questions on the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I'd move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item 4, new business A, county clerk. Number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Madam Chair, this morning we have one set of vouchers dated August 16th, 2013. The total amount of $1,650,359.73. I have no questions or issues with the voucher, so I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers as presented.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer, a second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I will move approval. Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item A3, consider approval of resolution number 2013-1112, authorizing the county clerk to cancel 3 checks. And Commissioners, these are, they do not have to be reissued. As you can see, one was a duplicate payment, one was billed in error, and the third one was returned. I don't have any idea why, but we're not requesting reissue, it's just strictly cancellation.
Cancellation. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
So motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Item A4, consider setting a public hearing on August 29th, 2013 at 9 a.m. to consider assessments for the sewer and street benefit districts that will be included in the 2013 bond issue. Timber Ridge Street Subdivision Street Benefit District Phase 1, and along with that, the second part of that Phase 1 is the Main Sewer District number 92 lateral 1 that is the one first phase. Second phase is Timber Ridge Street Benefit District Phase 2, and along with that is Main Sewer District number 92 lateral 2. Bond Counsel Bob Perry could not be here today. He is taking care of his mother's funeral out in California. So we just ask that you set the hearing on the 29th, and we will be addressed at that time.
There's a motion to set the public hearing for August 29th at 9 a.m. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Item B, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of a sole source purchase from Rearig Pacific Company of 800 lids for recycling totes in the amount of $8,350.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block, Public Works and Solid Waste. This item is a solid waste issue. As you recall, when we implemented the curbside recycling program, we purchased 45,000 carts for the recycling, and those carts were identical to our refuse carts, except for the fact that they have a different colored lid. And the reason we did that is so that we would have flexibility in using the larger part of the container interchangeable with the recycling. And we are at a point where we need to increase our inventory for refuse lids, which are black, and that is the purpose of this request, is to build up that inventory so we can replace those refuse carts as needed, and then all we will need to do is just put on a black lid in place of the blue one. And the reason it is the sole source is because the containers that we purchased for the curbside recycling came from Rearig Pacific, and these lids will match as far as their ability to fit onto that container. So if there's any questions regarding this, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, Tom. Other questions?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item B2, consider approval of a sole source emergency purchase with Environmental and Process Systems for replacement of a sludge pump for the Sherwood wastewater treatment plant in an amount of $4,642.
Commissioners, Tom Block again with the Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works issue. As mentioned in the memo, we had a pump that failed out of the Sherwood treatment plant a few weeks ago or several weeks ago, and we needed to get it replaced right away to keep the system running. When a treatment plant is designed, there are certain requirements and pump performance characteristics that are put into place, and when a pump of this type fails, you need to replace it with basically the exact same thing. And ABS pump was the type of pump that was there, and Environmental Process Systems is the regional supplier for ABS pumps, and that was We went ahead and purchased the pump, had it installed, but that is a request for purchasing it from Environmental Process Incorporated. So if there's any questions regarding this, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, Tom.
Motion to approve.
There's a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. But Tom, the expenditure comes from
Comes
which
from
fund?
the Sherwood, yes, which is user fees
Exactly.
and not tax funded.
Right, thank you.
And also on the previous item, regarding the purchase of the lids, that will come from the solid waste department budget, which is also not tax monies, that's user fees also.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 392, 2013 with Innovative Maintenance Systems for renewal of the annual maintenance agreement for the Fleet Maintenance Pro Support Plan in the amount of $349.
Good morning, Commissioners. Terry Burbles, Parks and Recreation, asking for your approval to renew our contract with Innovative Maintenance Systems for technical support for our Fleet Maintenance Pro software system. Software system tracks repairs and costs and other areas for our Fleet Services division. It is the same amount we paid last year, and it is a specialized software system.
Thank you, Terry. Other questions, comments? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve expenditure.
So motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries
Thank you, Commissioner.
3-0. Thanks, Terry.
Item C2, consider authorization and execution of contract C 393-2013 with James Millinger to serve as the coordinator of the archery competition for the 2013 Kansas Senior Olympics at a cost of $100.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. Before you is just service contract between James Millinger and Shawnee County. He will be the coordinator for the archery competition for the 2013 Senior Olympics for $100. We have over 700 athletes we're anticipating coming to the Olympics coming next month in September. And generally this generates about $28,000 in revenue. We'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Randy.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Archer and second by Commissioner Cook. Discussion. All those in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Randy.
Item D, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of a sole source purchase from Sound Products, Inc. for hardware, software engineering, programming, installation, testing, and training of an upgraded security system in the amount of $128,987.
Good morning, Commissioners. Timothy Phelps, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. I attempted to capture the scope of the project and the funding stream for this project in our sole source request, but I also have 2 representatives of Sound Products here if there are any questions as to the project or any other thing here.
Thank you. There are questions?
Motion to approve expenditure for Sound Products.
There's a motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank
you.
Item E, Health Agency. Number 1, consider approval of request to fill a vacant registered nurse informationist position in the Community Health Center at a total compensation package annually of $49,247.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alice Weingartner, Health Agency. As noted in the memo, this position is vacant due to a resignation. This position is important in our Community Health Center clinic because it does help staff in utilizing our software appropriately, making sure our work processes go well. They do some troubleshooting for staff, and they also are the primary trainer of the staff using the electronic medical record. So as noted, the cost for this position has been accounted for in both our 2013 and 2014 budget request.
Thank you, Alice. I have no questions. I'll move approval of the request. Is there a second?
Before I second, can you tell me exactly what it is? I mean, helping use the computer software, I mean, what exactly does that entail?
Well, we use an electronic medical record now, and so it does require some very focused training on how to use that system, how to document in it correctly, how to make sure that the correct boxes are getting checked so that data can be collected and reported out appropriately. This position also does provide direct patient care if needed to back up staff that's in place as well. It's become a very focused effort of our clinic because we are so driven by the electronic record that we needed someone who can really focus on understanding the system and then helping the rest of the staff utilize the system to the best of its capability.
So in a nutshell, what they're doing is they're going and making sure that everybody's filling out the forms correctly?
Well, they're doing that, but it's very involved in how you go in and make sure you're completing the proper tabs, that charts are getting signed off timely, that the various modules are working properly, so that we have providers, all of our providers can make prescription requests electronically. And so if we identify that there's a problem with that system, this person is working very closely and making sure that it can get addressed timely.
So are they a supervisor?
They are not a supervisor, no. And this position is paid at the same rate as an RN as well, with a different level of responsibility.
Commissioner Archer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I make a motion that we defer consideration of this issue for 2 weeks till we get a budget passed and are able to look at what the implications of that budget are?
Well, there's a motion to approve on the table. Is there a second? That motion dies for lack of a second. I'll entertain a motion to defer.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll
2
second.
weeks.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Bueller dissenting.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, you're still on.
I'm still on.
And we have just a switch. Item 3 should be going second, so we'll take that at this time.
Consider approval of request to acknowledge the Shawnee County Health Agency collaboration with the Shawnee County Safety Net Summit Group and support consultant efforts with a $1,000 allocation.
Good morning again, Commissioners. In our community, there have been a number of key healthcare stakeholders that have come together to look at how we can better address the needs of the uninsured and the underinsured in our community. Those participants in this activity include both of our hospitals. It includes the health agency. It includes both of our mental health facilities, Family Service and Guidance and Vallejo. It includes Health Access, as well as the Marion Clinic, which is another safety net clinic in our community. The intent of this collaboration, as I said, is to help us look collectively as a community at how we can better address those needs. We are being asked, as the Shawnee County Health Agency, to make a financial contribution towards the cost of the consultant. The cost for the consultant is $60,000, with the majority of that cost being paid by the Sunflower Foundation. And then the health agency would make a contribution of $1,000 towards that cost. This item has also been brought before the Community Health Center Board, and they are supporting the participation in this summit activity. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Alice. Are there questions?
I'd move to approve the expenditure of $1,000 to participate in the Safety Net Summit Group.
There's a motion by Commissioner Cook. I'll second the motion. Discussion? All those in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item E3, acknowledge that Chairperson Bueller signed 2 agreements associated with the Safety Net Summit Community Initiative, Contract C-394-2013, an agreement between Safety Net Summit primary stakeholders, Stormont Vale Healthcare, St. Francis Health Center, Shawnee County Health Agency, Family Service and Guidance Center, Health Access, Vallejo Behavioral Health, and Marion Clinic, and Millennia Consulting for consulting services, and Contract C-395-2013, an agreement between Safety Net Summit primary stakeholders and the Topeka Community Foundation for services as a fiscal agent for this initiative.
That was a long one. This request, we put this, typically these requests come on consent agenda, but because of the nature of the request and the timing of this, we did move forward. after consulting with our county counselor on these agreements. Because of the timing of trying to get this initiative moving, we did have Commissioner Bueller sign the consultant agreement as well as the fiscal agent agreement. And this just provides you with a copy of what that consultant work is, makes up and consists of. What I have provided to you is a copy of a media release that will go out today so that the community is aware of the initiatives that are taking place and the collaborative work that's going on between all of these organizations.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you.
You have questions?
No. Thank you.
Okay. Next item, please.
Item F, Commission Number 1, Budget.
Commissioners, this is a continuation of our 2014 budget discussion. I think we probably have some people in the audience who are wanting to make comments. I'm just assuming that, but I want to make sure we kind of go over a few things. We ended up the day, and Betty, yeah, sorry, pull your chair up and bring up your spreadsheet. I guess a few comments from me. I think we are all aware of the impact that this budget will have on the taxpayers. I think you were quoted in the paper, Commissioner Archer, as no one's going to be happy. That's true. It was my hope that we would not have to raise the mill levy over 4 mills, and I think we're over that amount, but we're closer than we were when we started the day on Thursday. You know, in crafting the budget last year, we tried to set not a significant amount, a modest amount away for carryover, but with less in revenue coming in, that certainly necessitates the need to still have about a $4 million amount plugged in there for carryover as well. I do have some concerns about our non-county allocations. To me, those are our partnerships with which we build throughout the community, and I know most of you are aware that I voted against those, and I have some concerns about that and long-term implications into our community and how we may pay for those later. But I don't know if that's going to change, to be quite honest, the outcome here today. You know, in general, I think there was a lot of give and take on Thursday. I can remember back to 2011 when in January we asked all our departments to cut 10%, and we did. We started at the very beginning of that year and cut. So I know the departments have been through a lot, and you're being asked to do even more. In regards to Public Works, you know, I think that's one of those things we're going to have to make sure we stay on top of. And we're going to have to, I know Tom and his group does a great job of keeping track of the streets and what shape they're in, but at some point, those needs don't go away. We still have to fill those. On public health and public recreation, Parks and Recreation, I talked with Betty about this beforehand, and I have some real concerns about the Parks and Rec Department. I have some concerns about how that's going to impact revenue, and I think we will have to stay on top of that. As I talked with John Thummel, we're going to have to be very creative in how we approach these cuts. And I think we had all hoped that we would be able to give raises, but we will not be. I hope that we can settle with the FOP in a timely manner. I know we're at impasse, and but there's a lot to consider. I had one person call me this morning and say, why do you have to carry over $4 million? Well, it shows up later on, and that's just part of our job to do that. But in regards to public safety, though, I do have some serious concerns about the Emergency Management Department. that is one department within public safety that works with the sheriff, the courts, works with the jail, works with continuity of operations throughout the county. And so at some point in our discussions this morning, I'm going to make a motion to reconsider the impact to that budget. So, Betty, there were a couple of things that we talked about before the meeting. One was the conservation district, and I know that between the clerk and the county counselor's office, what was the outcome of your discussion? Sorry, Extension Council. What was that discussion? How did that turn out? And if you could jump up there, Rich. Is Lori Chandler in the audience? Oh, Lori, okay.
Well, we've set a public hearing for August 29th that will reconsider the budget. There are two statutes that are involved here. One is the general one that sets the county, how we set the process, which is in Chapter 2 of the code, and that's the one that our county clerk, pause for momentary, our county clerk said we have to do, but that is the statute that sets the general budget, which is what we're doing now. If you want to amend that budget, which is what we're actually doing to the Extension Council's budget, you have to look to a different statute, and that's the one that we're following, and we published it on Monday, I believe, in the Metro News. We have a 10-day waiting time between publication and then the hearing, and that'll be set for August 29th when you'll move to reconsider.
Nancy, I did not speak to Rich. No, we didn't have a conversation on this. But the, you made a motion to accept the the Extension Council's budget. You made a motion to reconsider that at the meeting on Thursday, and then you made a motion to cut their budget. And we don't publish individual budget line items. We did not, I mean, so there's, and that was the concern that we had is, my concern is there's no reason to amend their budget in that, in that term, because the statute allows, and Lori and I did speak about that, it allows you, and their budget's not set until your budget, you have approved whatever the budget for the county. So that was my concern, but I did not get a chance to speak to Rich.
And I don't necessarily disagree with what Ms. Beck just said. The way that we're doing it is out of an abundance of caution to make sure that it's covered one way or the other. Our method will cover it for sure. We're just kind of iffy on taking that chance. So that's why we're doing it with the way that we've set it. And my advice to Ms. Beck would be that if she wants to send in a budget on August 25th, she sends in the budget that's already been approved, that you'll approve. And then what I would recommend is that the Extension Council budget that you've already approved, in other words, the one that you approved in July, is the one that we send in. And then underneath our method of having the public hearing, it'll be an amended budget that we'll send in after that. So I don't actually think Ms. Beck and I are in disagreement. We'll get to the same point.
I think we're disagreeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we did not publish that, Rich. We did not.
My office went ahead and had it. They did it on our own.
So you published it in the, okay.
Yeah, well, that's what
fine.
Megan told me.
Lori, do you have any comments?
I really don't know procedurally what you need to do. We've not done this in Shawnee County before, so I'm not familiar. I did check with K-State Research and Extension, and they did say that the County Commission has the authority to reconsider the budget up until the time that you approve a final budget. So that's about all I can share with you about that.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
The other budget that there was some discrepancy on was the clerk's budget as far as the percentage, 10% and 83,000.
Well,
10% would be 8424.
Yeah,
So
and I had it written down, marked down, that it was 10%, but then I also had an ending balance of 720,827, which would be $83,000 decrease from 13. So I just needed to clarify what was actually agreed upon. Was it the 10% of 13's budget? or was it the
This,
83?
this one may have been Commissioner Archer's motion, but I believe that my understanding was it was to be 10%
10%.
Yeah.
of 2013.
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
So then that is my error that I will correct on here.
Betty, anything else that we need to be aware of? I know we had talked about the jail expansion line item, the 76,200, and
And yes, my question on that is, I do not know why the jail expansion is a separate division, and hopefully that can be addressed by the department. And whether we need to continue to keep it
right.
separate.
Good morning, Commissioners. Timothy Phelps, DOC. The history of the expansion budget being a separate item was when the annex was built, and then we started using it as a separate part of our department. There was a request that we track the costs independent of the main department. That has not really panned out to provide us anything of value. We still keep the utility separate, and that's really what all this is on these line items. We tried to estimate the cost of the annex utilities separate from the jail, although functionally we would be fine with it going away and just merging into the main jail as part of their budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Betty, that?
Not that I had marked.
Okay. And I guess how we can move to reconsider if there are changes, and do it that way and see if there is the willingness to reconsider on budgets, and then we can also hear from the public as well. How do you want to proceed?
Madam Chair, my preference would be if there are public comments, we could start with public comments before we address any reconsiderations.
Can I make some comments?
Sure.
First, Madam Chair? I did receive a letter over the weekend, a letter of encouragement from 3 of our citizens, and I wanted to read it real quickly. It says, Commissioner Archer, just a short note to thank you, Commissioner Cook and Commissioner Bueller, for the great job you are doing in crafting a 2014 budget for Shawnee County. We are impressed with the seamless process and fully support the budget cuts that you have made. Keep up the good work. And it's signed Dave Sturbins, John Knight, and Judge Nancy Parrish. What I have heard is from my constituents, emails, phone calls, a couple of stopped by my house, is hold the lid on property taxes. In this economy, with jobs tenuous, with food and groceries and gasoline and the city and utilities all going up, we can't afford a large property tax increase. So my suggestion is that we cut more and we cut deeper than what we've agreed to. I think we absolutely have to, because if we don't, we send the message to the citizens of Shawnee County that we're not serious. We're not serious about holding the line and doing a good job with the finances of Shawnee County. So that's my opinion, Madam Chair.
Okay, would you reject public comment this time, or are
Yes.
you open to public comment
Yes,
this time?
absolutely.
Okay. So
I would
any-
like to just point out one other thing on the screen here in the spreadsheet. What I've done is, on your sheets, on the bottom, we have the total expenditures, and then we had adjusting items, which included, the amount we're going to increase, the general fund balance, the tax delinquencies and such. What I've done on this is just, I've hidden those rows just so that we have more of the spreadsheet here that we can actually see of the departments. So that information is still here. You'll see the difference between the total expenditures and the levied amount, and that's what I've done here. I've just hidden those rows so we can see more of the worksheet. So,
Betty, there was one other thing before we opened to public
Okay.
comment. On the health agency, we did receive a memo.
yes, that's true.
And the
We
allocation.
received an
Yes.
email on that they would like to, they have, the health agency is listed here in two different line items. One is the health agency and the other is health agency gatekeepers and other services. They would like to reallocate this decrease between these two so that the second line, the gatekeepers and other services, it is allocated so that the total budget for that would be 0 for this year, and then add that to the other line item. So that is the request.
Okay. So we'll handle that reconsideration
Yes.
possibly after we hear public comment. Thank you. All right.
Can I
Yes.
be the first to speak?
Sure.
Put this down here so nobody.
Commissioner Cindy Beck, Shawnee County Clerk. Last Thursday, you during the 2014 budget deliberations, you took action to cut my budget by $83,417, which left me with a bottom line for my 2014 budget of $720,827. On Friday, I prepared 4 separate budget options, which I emailed to you, and I started at the top by cutting my salary by $6,800. I also cut office supplies and telephone services to amounts lower than what I actually paid in 2012. We can keep the supplies. I can personally buy supplies. When it comes to the telephone bill, I don't know what will happen because, the telephone bill, if I get partway through the year and don't have any funds, I guess I'm going to have to come back to you. Other cuts were the elimination of the planned retirement funding, all intermittent salaries, and the elimination of 3 full-time and 1 3/4-time position. For a little background, on 2013, and Commissioner Bueller had mentioned it, there were salary increases given to our employees, as well as a benefit increase to the benefit amount per employee. 2014 included a benefit allocation increase as well. Now, these are needed because I'm the administrator of our health insurance. I know that these are needed. The increase is needed, but those are items that are out of my control. The budget cut will force me to lay off 2 employees in my accounts payable division and 1 full-time and 1 3/4-time employee in my administrative division. These are very valuable and necessary positions. I truly do not know how we will be able to function without these employees. The employee in my administrative division attends commission meetings, processes the paperwork from all these meetings, types the minutes, is responsible for all of our licenses, such as our cereal malt beverages, peddler licenses, and is my Cora person. And she also does research on demand, and she is the individual who scans all of our packets for the commission. Now, the 3/4-time employee it's a recent hire. It's a position that person has been scanning old minutes and packets, because we go forward, we're okay on the information that's scanned in, but we're trying to get the backup. So that's what that person does. I could manage to not have that position. The loss of 2 accounts payable employees would leave me with an equally difficult situation. How are we going to pay the bills? We had over $1 million in invoices today. Each of these employees in accounts payable is given an allocation of departments in which they are responsible. With these 2 employees that I would have to lay off, one of them handles 20 departments. The other one handles the Public Works, Solid Waste Department, and Parks and Rec. Now, the reason for that seemingly awkward split is because of the sheer number of invoices that they each have to take care of. The loss of these 2 positions would leave the accounts payable supervisor and the fixed asset manager as the only remaining employees in that division. There is only one other employee in accounts payable right now, However, that employee is being trained to take over the position of Diana Martin, who's my budget and economic development employee. And she is pending retirement. She's been pending retirement for a couple of years. I can't force it, and she's a very valuable employee. But because I won't have any part-time employees, even if or part-time, you cut that out of my budget as well. Even if she did retire, I wouldn't be able to have her come back and assist with that budget time next year, which is a major. That's working with all the townships, all the small entities. We walk them through their budget process. Now, I'm not taking any pot shots at not John Knight, even though it is fun to do, and his department. But the reality is the Parks and Rec consolidation created large increases in the number of invoices my staff handles. Last year, we figured we had a 50% increases in the number of physical invoices that we have to take care of. Prior to the consolidation, I was actually considering giving up a position in accounts payable, and that's why when we found out the number of sheer magnitude of number of invoices, why I came to the commission last year asking for an additional accounts payable position. I don't think you'd have to be, like I said, you have to be a time management expert to realize that eliminating these two positions is going to have a lasting effect. I literally do not know. I will not be able to pay overtime to anyone. I personally can only work so many hours of overtime. There's every division in my office is at the bare minimum of, if you have two people doing payroll. I mean, they're taking one person from another division in there is a small fix, but they also have to be retrained and everything. So it's very, very difficult. And also these two employees that I would be replacing or laying off, they also have to process these checks that you approve every meeting. That in itself takes practically a full day. Now, we are we've got our new bank, and so we are in the process of doing more of our stuff electronically. But in the meantime, so there I'm down 2 employees, and I have to take 2 days out of the week for the 2 remaining employees to process checks. How am I going to get the invoices entered into the system in the meantime? It's a no-win possible. It's a no-win situation. When I looked at my budget, I have no, I offered up my own personal income to soften the blow to my employees, but it's just not possible. 10% of a dollar is 10 cents. And I can understand your situation where we have to cut the budget. And it isn't just I'm trying to save my employees' jobs. It is literally, I do not know how I will get this done. I will have only one person in my administrative area. When your department, and we get calls from the commission office all the time, and you're asking for some research done, or one of the other departments calls and wants some research done, what am I supposed to say? Or we have the public provide. I'm a Freedom of Information officer. We have a public request for open records. What am I supposed to do if I don't have the staff to provide this assistance? Now, my staff is made up of all clerical. There's no large salaries there. That's why an $83,000 hit affects over three positions. And it sounds unbelievable because we have people at the county who make more than $83,000 just for one salary, but it's the truth. Please reconsider your cut to my budget. I do not expect to get away without any cuts, but I request that you please allow me to sit with maybe with financial administrator and to come up with a plan of a possible alternative to the cut you had, because I actually do not know how I will do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cindy. Anyone else? Alan?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
I'm Alan Tao, President of Fidelity Bank and past chairman of the board for Vallejo Behavioral Health Care, and also on the Finance Committee for Family Service and Guidance Center. Commissioners, I appreciate the time to come speak and visit with you this morning. I want to start by thanking you. As Commissioner Archer pointed out, this is an arduous task. It's a very difficult task that you have trying to figure out what to do with the budget. You only have so much resources. Yes, you're a taxing authority, but the population can only withstand so much additional tax. So we have to keep that in mind. I really appreciate the time you spend with public service. I know in particular the last several months you've really spent a lot of time. A lot of times the things you get to do are enjoyable. I don't think today is one of those, and I certainly can't appreciate the struggles you're going through to do that. But I still want to come visit with you today. I'm going to start off by telling you a story that I heard not so long ago, and I have addressed this with the appropriate authorities to find out the total validity as to what happened. So I don't want you to get caught up into, gosh, that doesn't sound like we handled that very well, as much into what the cause and where this implies. I recently talked to a tow truck driver, unfortunately because we ended up getting the car back at the bank, but talked to the tow truck driver. One of my staff did, and he explained it when he went to the scene. There had been a car accident. An elderly woman had been driving her car and drove it off the road and hit a pole, I believe was what she had hit. And so the tow truck was called, and the tow truck driver came, and the law enforcement officer asked him to tow the car off. So he went to attach the car to the vehicle, and there was still an elderly lady sitting in the car. And he explained to the law enforcement officer that there was still somebody sitting in the car. The law enforcement officer said, "That's your problem." Or that was at least the way he portrayed it. So trying to figure out what to do, he went and talked to the lady and offered her a ride home. At great risk to himself and his job, because when you start doing things outside the realm of things, it does cause some potential risk. And she finally did agree to that. But an elderly lady trying to get up into a tow truck needed assistance. He was very uncomfortable with that because once she got out of her car, he found out she was only wearing her underwear. Now, he was able to get her in the car and take her home. A neighbor helped her go in the house. But this concerns me because it would seem to me, first of all, I'm a banker. I'm not in the mental health field other than being on a board. So I'm not real qualified to make decisions on mental health. But an elderly lady in a car accident, disoriented, in her underwear, probably there's a mental health issue there. And had the tow truck driver not taken her home, may have been left on the street. Or law enforcement would have had to deal with her. I don't know what the end result would have been had it been treated differently. These are the kinds of things that I'm afraid are happening in our community and are going to happen more in our community when there's a perception that law enforcement doesn't have enough resources and they're strained. The jails are full. We don't have places to put people, and there's not an alternative place to take people that have mental health issues. That's why I'm here today. I see a real concern in where we're going. I'm concerned an additional $300,000 cut to the funding for mental health services may have some serious implications in the long run for the county. Absent us being there with alternative solutions, what's going to happen is people will end up having to be dealt with through law enforcement. People that have mental health issues that are a nuisance to society, commit petty crimes, are going to go get the opportunity to spend time in jail and be dealt with in the jail system. They're going to go into the court system and be dealt with there. And so you're going to increase the cost. One source told me it was about a 10 times the cost to deal with somebody in jail versus dealing with him in a group home. The other problem with that is that only treats the symptom, and that's the nuisance this person is causing on the streets in our society. It doesn't treat the mental health problem that we try and take care of. That's why we're there. Now, I don't know what a cut in $300,000 is actually going to do. We haven't gone back and said, okay, where do we do this? How do we pinch and scrape and make this happen? We're going to continue to do, the three agencies, Vallejo, Family Service Guidance Center, and Breakthrough House, are going to continue to do the best we can with the resources we have. But it is likely that there will be people that are not served well enough. There may be layoffs or jobs lost, either through a layoff or through not filling positions to take care of the issues that are there. I'm concerned that law enforcement will have to deal with more of these situations, and the overall cost to the county is going to be greater. That said, I really do appreciate what you're doing. I would ask that you reconsider allocating the $300,000 back into the budget for mental health services so that we can provide the services and keep people out of the jail system and out of other services that the county has to provide, so that in the long run, we're providing better service for the county and better use of the taxpayer dollars. Thank you very much. I do appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate the time to come visit today.
Thank you, Alan.
Any questions?
Just
Mr. Cook?
briefly, Mr. Towle, you serve as a bank officer with Fidelity Bank here in Topeka.
Yes?
Property taxes are a sign of an economic indicator for growth, are they not?
They are.
And so we can't raise our taxes too high or we would stop growth, correct?
I'd say that's a fair statement, yes.
Okay. You also serve as the chair of Go Topeka for this year,
That is correct.
and so we want to have economic growth in Topeka and we want to attract businesses here.
Yes.
So, but we also need to have our cash reserves meet a certain level so that we have creditworthiness.
That also is important.
So we have to keep our taxes low, our cash reserves high or at an acceptable rate so that we have creditworthiness for financial institutions and bonding agents.
I
But
would
we
agree
have-
with all of that.
But we have needs within the county that we have to find where to make those cuts.
Absolutely.
And so I appreciate your comments on not cutting or not cutting as dramatically cuts to mental health. Are there suggestions that you would have where there are cuts that could be made?
To be honest with you, I don't know.
Okay.
I appreciate what you're doing. It is not going to be an easy task, and I appreciate where you're looking at things. I did notice in here we raised law enforcement and we raised the district attorney's office. I think those are areas that are going to need it. In particular, when we cut mental health, it's going to add some additional burden onto them. That's really where I'm looking at. In the short run, this is going to be very painful to everybody. As Commissioner Archer said, nobody's going to like it. The task today is to figure out how to keep the short-run cure from being worse than the illness, and how to keep in the long run that the county doesn't end up putting themselves in a position that we've got to raise the taxes someplace else to cure a bigger problem that we caused by taking the shortcut today. And I understand you're looking at the long term as well. That's part of why you're doing this, is to try and get our cash reserves up, try and put us in a better position. When the economy went south, we spent part of our reserves, a pretty healthy amount. The economy didn't turn around yet. Will it? Absolutely. I fully believe in it. Americans get tired of doing nothing. We will start doing something and being successful again. When? I'd have told you 2 years ago it was coming. I still believe it's coming. The federal government and the Treasury has said they're going to artificially hold interest rates down until the middle of 2015. Took me a long time to believe them that they really were, but I am convinced they're going to continue to artificially hold interest rates down to the middle of 2015. In my personal opinion, I don't want to get too political in the spectrum here, but as long as that's happening in Topeka, Kansas, our economy is going to continue to be held down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Archer?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I would like to commend Commissioner Cook for summing up things pretty well as far as what we're looking at. And thank you for coming today, Alan. I know we had correspondence, and unfortunately, we're going to have layoffs in Shawnee County. And it's not going to be pleasant, and as I told Alan in the email, the $300,000 that he's talking about represents 8 or 10 jobs in Shawnee County that we would have to let go if we put the $300,000 back, in my opinion. That's the way I feel, and no one is going to be happy with the result of this budget setting process. So I'll say that again, and thank you for recognizing me, Madam Chair.
Anyone else?
I spoke here before, so you know me. I'm Earl McIntosh. I live at 4208 Southwest Stony Brook Drive, Topeka, Kansas, 66610. I really don't have a prepared statement. I just know that I'm the unofficial representative of homeowners in Shawnee County, and I'm here to represent homeowners. Again, I want to say I appreciate, before I start, all three of you care about this county, you got tough decisions to make, and I appreciate that. But that being said, we have dire problems. And I want to state, I disagree with Mr. Townsend. I'm raising the red flag. He's in Scouts with me, he's a good guy, but he's not right, he's wrong. I'm raising the red flag right now on homeownership in Shawnee County. We have a shrinking pool of homes. Homeownership is at a 20-year low, but yet you guys, year after year after year, keep taking from that same pot. It's not fair what you take from us and what everybody takes with. Everybody has their hands in the taxpayer pocket. We've got to get the revenue from somewhere else. I'm asking you to think in the future to how you can protect homeownership to where we have those people coming in from out of town. Where we do have that growth. Right now, we don't have any growth. I deal with homeowners every day. They're hurting so bad. I cannot even begin to describe how we are destroying homeownership. Not just the county, the city, the county, the state, everybody involved. Let's just remind people who all has their hands in the taxpayer pocket. The state gets $1.5 million. The county, you guys get 44.1 mils. The city gets 35.83 mils. The Metro Transit gets 4.2 mils. The Metro Airport gets 1.22 mils. They raised our taxes this year already, and they're not even elected. That is taxation with that representation. That is un-American, and I want on record to state right now, the library, Washburn, airport, transit, anybody else out there who has the authority to raise my taxes without representation, I rebuke them. That's just un-American. The library gets 9.783 mils. Washburn University gets 3.3 mils. All the school districts get about 54 mils. So that's 155 mils that everybody is taking out of the taxpayer pockets. It's bigger than the county. So I want you to think bigger. I mean, yes, the county, we got to deal with our own problems, but what you decide affects a whole bunch of other people. Everybody's raising our taxes. Here's what I'm facing, and homeowners are facing in Topeka and Shawnee County. You guys are raising our taxes. The city of Topeka is raising our taxes. Local school districts are raising our taxes. The Metro Airport, Washburn University, they're building all new buildings out there for the law department, and they're going to soak me for it. In addition, food. Let's talk about food. Everybody has to eat. Food is up 40% from a couple years ago. That is horrible. We have gas is up $1 a gallon. Westar raised our electric rates. They've had a 55% increase in electrical rates in the past 10 years, and that's going up year after year. So is everybody. All these I list, year after year. Let's take more money from the taxpayer. Gas is up $1. Water rates has already increased this year. I'm in insurance. All insurance companies are raising rates dramatically. They paid out so much in storm claims these past 3 years. Home rates are out. This is what homeowners are facing, not just the county, but the cumulative effect. And like I said before, homeownership is a 20-year low, renting is a 20-year high. We have to try to get this money from somewhere else. We have to either cut our government and let people worry about themselves, more responsibility. What you find is when taxes are low, homeownership is high, jobs are high, but homeowners are getting hit from every angle. I want to address what Mr. Townsend said here. We're going to keep interest rates artificially low. He's a very astute man. He's got degrees in accounting and things like that. We've been doing that for the past 4 years, which is causing inflation to go completely out of control. We're printing digital money, our federal government is, which affects us, just to pay the interest on the debt, which is causing inflation, which is causing all these lists of people who are taking money out of the homeowners to go up. And it's going to keep going year after year. So we're going to be right back here, guys, unless we have some solid plan to protect homeowners, to get our budget in order, get those reserves. You're going to be here year after year. It's not going to stop. And you have been for the past several years. And like I said, it's exasperating on itself. I came here, I really didn't have but I'll be back Thursday. You're coming, you have a meeting Thursday, right?
Unless we adopt, yeah, we do have a meeting on Thursday.
Well,
unless
I'm
we
asking-
adopt the budget today.
I'm asking you to go another day. We have homeowners. People have given up. Our government is so complicated, so big. You have taken on a life of your own. People are like, it doesn't make a difference anymore. Well, I'm telling you, things are going to get bad where people are going to have to start standing up and saying something, or you guys are just, all levels of government is just going to take it from us. We want home ownership. If we don't have home ownership, you talked about that there again, people aren't going to be moving to Topeka. I just focus on that shrinking budget. You keep taking from the same people. Get money from somewhere else. You keep taking the same money year after year from that shrinking pot of homeowners in Shawnee County. And I'm proud to be a homeowner, but man, you guys make it hard. It's just like, you're killing me. My taxes are going to go up $1,000 to $2,000. Every year, how can I afford that? I mean, my house payment goes up, insurance goes up. It's not fair. I'll be prepared Thursday if you go ahead. Sure.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh, I'd ask you the same question I asked Mr. Tao. Are there suggestions you have
I
of
do.
places where there could be cuts?
I do. And then
Where?
I do. Thank you for the question. I recently went to Overland Park, Lenexa, which is larger cities than Topeka. They have no security. You pay about $400,000 a year to have this security up here. Every time you have a meeting, you've got police officers here armed to the teeth. I mean, because of politics, they have to be here, you know. Why do we need all this security up there? Topeka doesn't have metal detectors and armed guards over there. You could save about $400,000. I mean, yes, you guys stop pocket knives from coming in, but that's not going to stop somebody from coming here, any malcontents from really causing any damage. That's just one part. And I know you have tough decisions, and I'm like Alan. I don't know, but you can't destroy homeownership to balance your budget because you're going to be right back here next year because we have a shrinking pot of homeowners. I mean, I hate taxes, period, but tax renters. We have high renters are the highest in 20-year high. Do a $5 renter's tax on each person. I don't know, but just please protect homeownership. We're in dire trouble. Most of the homeowners here are on fixed incomes. They can't afford all these extra increases of taxes and associated expense along with homeowners. I mean, I'm asking for some compassion. That's it. Go
Mr.
ahead.
McIntosh, along the lines of Commissioner Cook's question, what service do you value that the county provides?
Okay.
What service do you value?
I'm happy that we have Shawnee, the Sheriff's Department. I appreciate, in the water, I think deals with city, and we have rural water. I mean,
That's not county services,
okay.
because those are fee-based.
No,
and
I
so they're
appreciate
not
the
taxes.
security we have. I appreciate the Parks and Rec, but there's a lot of things. I mean, I'll be prepared more Thursday. I just came here out of their whim because everybody has their hands in the pots in our country. Nobody's standing up for the homeowners. So I had to come here and say something off the cuff because everybody has their hands in pots. Everybody's begging you for money, so I've got to give a different viewpoint. So if you allow some discussion on Thursday, I'll be back and I'll be better prepared and I'll have some ideas for cuts for you.
I would challenge you, though, to look at the revenue streams for different levels of government. It is different at the state, at the county level, at the city level.
And I understand that.
At the township level. Those revenue streams are very different. And the county does rely on property tax. Our largest other department that brings in revenue is Parks and Recreation. So it is very different depending on which governing body you're talking about. So just
May I
for them-
respond to that? If I believe in government, if the services can't sustain themselves, cut them. I mean, if Parks and Rec should be able to, I love Parks and Recs. I mean, I take advantage of this, the county, statewide. But you know what? If there's a part of that Parks and Rec that can't sustain itself, I mean, we have so many thousands of parks all over. I mean, I don't know. There's just got to be a different way to do it instead of, it's just a big ordeal. I know I'm opening a can of worms
Well,
here.
you are, because I'll challenge that, because on the sheriff's side, the revenue for that does not match the expenditures. So
And I'm talking of Parks and Rec. I'm not talking
Okay.
the sheriff's
I'm
security.
talking revenue versus expenditures.
Okay.
So
Well, and, you know, you can't destroy home ownership. What happens if you don't have any homes to pay for things? And we're at a 20-year low. I mean, I go back to that, and you're in an impossible position. I admit that. But destroying home ownership, what happens when we're all gone? I'm raising the red flag. We're at a breaking point. That's what I'm trying to say to you, respectfully. And you have a hard job. If we go Thursday, I'll be back. But and thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Sturbins, Emergency Management. First of all, because I'm not a math person, but I took my 2013 budget and just divided it by the $99 million budget and realized that my department accounts for 0.00244% of the entire county budget, which is pretty small, especially when you consider our mission essential functions. If our budget's cut 50%, it would not leave enough money to pay the bills on our required upkeep. For example, the siren utilities alone, just for the electricity, our average is $17,000 a year, and then we're looking at a $10,000 expense to replace the required batteries that will expire starting the first of the year. Also trying to support two of the newer positions that would be the emergency planner and the ambulance compliance communications officer. There would be no way to fund the director position. Even if the grant money match was there, the remaining staff would not meet the minimum requirements to obtain and maintain the EMPG, Emergency Management Planning Grant funding. The staff also could not meet the mission essential functions required by national guidance, federal acts such as the Stafford Act, KSAs, and county codes, which we listed all of those for you when on page 4 of your strategic plan that we turned in earlier this year. As indicated in the strategic plan our department developed on May 29th, which each of you received, under page 3, internal assessment, the overall weaknesses are manning and funding. Another concern is the wide misunderstanding of the department that could lead to poor decisions affecting the preparedness of the county as a whole. The fact our mission is outlined in our strategic plan comes from the National Response Framework, how we are supposed to respond as a nation regardless of the agency. We have outlined these duties very specifically, again, in our strategic plan, and everything we do is supported by the county, state, and federal mission essential functions. Please remember that all disasters are owned locally. That means that we own it, we respond to it, and yes, we, actually you, pay for it. We provide the initial resources for it. In order to get initial resources, we have to coordinate our own resources in the county, which emergency management does now. We have to develop partnerships, which emergency management does now, and we have to develop mutual aid agreements and foster those relationships, which we coordinate now. Then, in accordance with the Stafford Act, any requests that go to the state, in other words, out of the regional resources or mutual aid support and even the National Guard, must go through the local emergency manager to the state. The National Guard is extremely expensive, and we will still have to go through all of our coordinated resources before they can be ordered. These are some of the things that we in emergency management do day to day. Another primary duty is to prepare everyone for the individual, family, neighborhood, and community and business to be prepared for a disaster or emergency. We do that through public warning systems, our National Weather Service, outdoor warning systems, media relations, etc., and quite literally talking to every person we can about it through social media, fairs, booths, community programs, wherever we go. The weather radio program was a solid attempt of getting the individual families more prepared. The job of the emergency manager has evolved significantly since 2001, and there was just another adjustment to the National Response Framework in May that we are still evaluating, trying to figure out how we will adjust our duties to meet the new needs. The new National Response Framework incorporates a focus on whole community and core capabilities. For example, the framework now describes the important roles of individuals, families, and households in response activities. Also, the framework are intended to be strategic documents with tactical planning and concept of operations. As a result, the National Response Framework is shorter and more strategic than before.
our mission may have gotten more difficult given anything going on. The things when we start looking at the Stafford Act, state direction, mitigation, preparation, which is our training and exercises, response as first responders, and are our first responders ready, and recovery to do what we need to do so that we can recover, so that when a major event or incident or disaster happens in the community, that we are capable of not only directing those resources at coordinating and communicating with the other response agencies, but also so that we do it in the most efficient and effective way so that the county absorbs the least amount of cost by the time that disaster is over. The training and readiness can also be pulled from here. The state of Kansas has asked emergency management coordinators in each region and county to conduct the training. Doing this sets forth a few important things that we need to keep in mind. It saves money. Agencies do not have to send employees out of the area or state to receive the required training, taking their money with them. It brings in money. Some students do travel to the area and attend required training, so they're spending money here. It is organizationally efficient. Classes are taught locally. It increases networking and early coordination between responding agencies, and this leads directly to efficient use of resources and pre-planning. It keeps agencies and responders proficient locally, and it increases the level of expertise of all agencies involved, to include volunteer organizations. It is required in many cases. The Presidential Policy Directives 5 and 8 implements and outlines the training that all will be conducted in accordance with the National Incident Management System, and the training lesson plans are developed at a much higher level, and we do not have the authorization to change the lesson plan, shorten the classroom hours. The hours of training are in effect mandated for whatever class is delivered. It helps the national response regardless of the agency, local, tribal, federal, private industry, volunteers, etc. And this is the way we do disaster response on a national level. So classes instructed here are nationally recognized and are part of the national credentialing system. This allows responders to cross jurisdictional boundaries and understand the management system and immediately be efficient because, again, it is part of the National Incident Management System. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Dave. Other questions?
Madam Chair, or actually,
Commissioner Archer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Sturbins. Do you know what Parkinson's law is?
No.
Parkinson's law says work expands to fill the time available to do it. And I think that's what's happened with emergency management. Back in 2016, the budget for emergency management was about $99,000. For this year, it's over $240,000, an increase of over 140%. You know what the CPI has done over the same period?
Not near that much.
It's gone up 15%.
Yes.
So my point is that your budget has increased by 10 times the rate of inflation. And I think what you're telling me is there's no way in the world that you can cut anything that you're doing. And I'm sorry, I just can't believe that. So,
Commissioner, if I could address that.
please do.
I'm proud to say that, first of all, my department does 10 times more than it did in 2006. It's documentable. If you look at the training and education and involvement that we have, everybody knows our department now. Also in 2006, my department actually didn't exist. I think the dollars that you're seeing, and again, I was not here in 2006, but that was part of the CECC program. So the $99,000 that was shown might have just been what was shown separate so that they could qualify for the EMPG grant, because you have to show specific positions for that. But in reality, my department did not exist. We were simply a department under the County Emergency Communications Center total budget. So that's why I think those dollars are a little bit different. 2 years ago, when the commission told my department to cut their budget, I did in fact go back and cut my budget as much as I could possibly cut. The only thing I could cut out today, realistically, without cutting a service or a mission essential function, is we could not buy uniform shirts for employees. We could talk to Westar and see if they could give us a better deal on our electricity, or better yet, don't charge us the $17,000. But You know, we've got $6,000 in stream gauges that we have to pay, or I think it's $4,800, I'm sorry. But there's things that we have to pay. As far as discretionary money, we really don't have discretionary money built into our budget. We simply survive. If it wasn't for our volunteers and partners and CERT grants and EMPG grants, we wouldn't even exist and do the things we do now. But we've also learned that by doing effective partnership and working with the other communities around the region, that it's our insurance policy and it's how we're going to save this county millions of dollars if we have another 1966, or if we even have a 1984 or a 1993 flood. It's how we go in and prepare to make sure that when those things happen, that we're doing it effectively so that the county doesn't suffer a large financial gain, or loss rather, like other communities have when they've had a disaster. And to get those resources to come in from the outside, that does have to go through the Emergency Management Department.
Yeah, and I think that gets back to an earlier discussion we had about your folks attending training or providing training, almost on a continuous basis. And I guess that's a conceptual issue that we have to talk about, is in this tough budget, is that a luxury that we can afford? I don't think it is. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Cook?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Sturbins, after reviewing your strategic plan, what emergency management does, can you tell me why your functions could not be part of the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office, why you need to be a separate department entirely?
Well, if you look at the state statutes, we have to identify a specific agency. What ends up happening in other communities where they've done that, or even look at what happened to this department when it was under communications, they become other duties as assigned. It's not a dedicated. Right now we are dedicated. We work equally with the sheriff's office and the police office to make sure that we're doing the whole other gamut of security and planning than they are when they're doing law enforcement duties. We're doing the planning and preparation. And by not having the ability to be on an equal level and answering directly to the commission, we do lose our effectiveness. It's been seen in many other communities. In fact, in a lot of other communities, a lot of the other departments answer to emergency management since they are the coordinating agency. So for example, a lot of communities just in Kansas, let alone going around, you see all the communication centers, fire service, a lot of your rural stuff, all actually answer to the emergency management agency, but not the other way around.
But there are a number of communities within Kansas where emergency management is a part of the law enforcement branch.
Yes, there are. And in those agencies, the emergency management has to go through at least 2 to 3 levels to get to the elected officials to do what they need to during a disaster. And I tell you that in this community, that does not work. It's not that, and we work very well with the sheriff. That's not the issue. It's the idea that I'm charged with being effective and efficient, and that's how it needs to be done.
And the second question I have for you is the same question I've had for everybody that approaches the podium. Are there suggestions that you have that we have not considered, or places that we can make cuts to the budget?
You know, I've stayed away from this, but I would tell you flat out that everything that my department does is a mission essential function. And I think as long as we have anybody in another department who is not a mission essential function, then yes, in fact, those are things that need to change first. We have to be able to show people and guarantee people that they have a safe community first before we do anything else. And that's what our department does, is through warning systems, through training, through incident management systems, through everything that we do. There's nothing that my department does that is not a mission essential function, that is not set out in some type of county resolution, state law, the Stafford Act, any of those. That's what we do, is we follow the guidelines.
Okay. So given that, you would be in favor of if we cut $120,000 additional Parks and Rec to keep you at your 2013?
I'm telling you that in my 2013 budget that I proposed to the commissioners, and what I did 2 years ago, was everything that I considered cuttable out of my budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Allison.
Morning, Allison Alejos, Health Agency. I just wanted to bring it to your all's attention that if we reduce whatever amount of funding we reduce for the health agency will have a subsequent reduction in our state formula funding. The state formula funding is provided to us through Kansas statute, and this is funding that allows us to really work on our public health efforts. If the statute's written, if there's any kind of reduction on our county funding from the previous year, we will have an equal percentage of funding decrease in our tax allocate, or in our state formula funding. So that winds up being for us an additional $12,000, bringing our overall reduction to $494,000. So a pretty substantial hit to the agency. As far as staffing and the effects of this type of budget reduction, we really don't know the exact effects at this point. We would really need to know what the total budget reduction would be for the agency, and it would require the management team to really sit down and look at our grant and contractual obligations, statutory requirements, county codes, the work that we're supposed to be doing, and what is it in our work plan that we need to continue to do. We do know that there are going to be some possible effects, and those could include being unable to fill vacant positions, certainly not being able to fill new positions that were created for 2014, and not being able, possibly having layoffs. We know that there would be some substantial effects to the activities that we are planning to engage in for the upcoming year. Those would include the public health accreditation, the community health improvement planning. As far as public health surveillance, we had a position in there to really help us ramp up our efforts related to public health surveillance and the implementation of any kind of dental services. All of those things would be directly affected by this reduction. And again, those are all things that were part of the strategic plan for the agency, but just wanted to bring to your attention.
Thank you, Allison. Anyone else at this time?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
on Friday afternoon, I had the opportunity to have a conversation with our county treasurer, Mr. Ma. I see that he's present on the front row. In discussions with him, there was a concern about the manner in which we fund the treasurer's office and how we have become reliant on the motor vehicle fund. And specifically in speaking with Mr. Ma, there's a request, I think, that he would like us to see us move to a practice of funding the treasurer's office instead of it being subsidized through the motor vehicle. And if he could add some clarification to that.
Thank you, Commissioner Cook. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. I had not planned to take the podium today because I would just be coursing the same things that everyone else is saying. I do have concerns about how the Treasurer has been funded in the past, and I think that's very well documented, both by the media as well as the actions that were taken by the Commission during the last Treasurer's term. I believe that I have two functions. One of the functions is to administer the motor vehicle operation. That is a solely separate operation. I report, or essentially I am the agent of the state of Kansas when I perform that function. I also have a separate function as a treasurer. The two do touch each other because we collect property taxes. However, I believe under statute that I have a duty to protect the motor vehicle funds and to spend those funds as a motor vehicle operation and not become as we will say, a cash cow to help the county with their treasury department. Having said all that, I think that over the past few years, if you look at the treasurer's budget, you've seen it's been cut every year. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that, and I'm not going to open all those wounds. I believe if you look at the history in not too distant past, as little as 7 months ago, there was a lot of teeth grinding and meshing because no one was happy with how the motor vehicle department was functioning, nor were they happy with how the treasury department was functioning. Everybody wanted better service, and I think we've come a long ways. But we can't continue to dig that hole and remain dependent on the motor vehicle department. There is a limit to how much I can charge for motor vehicle, and I am committed to the citizens of Shawnee County to make sure that department runs smoothly, and that when they come in to register their motor vehicle, they're not put into any more frustration than absolutely necessary. At the same time, I'm committed to run the Treasury Department so that when you come in to pay those taxes that nobody wants to pay, that I don't hear you're collecting my taxes, which you're making as hard as possible and taking up my precious time to pay those. I do not understand how, and this is what I've been told many, many times, I do not understand how you can possibly expect to collect my taxes and then make me suffer to pay those taxes. Now, having said all that, I'm willing to work within this budget. I would ask that you consider at least meeting part way and over a period of years that we come back in alignment as far as where that funding is coming. But to continue cutting this budget is just to continue a problem that started several years ago. Now, I'll go on record and say that my staff and I are looking at what we would do if we were forced to live with the budget as proposed, $377,000. We'll live with that, but I want to be very, very definitive on record. That means that this level of service in the Treasury Department will decrease. If you want the phones answered promptly, they may not be answered as promptly as you choose. If you don't want a line in December and May when you're paying your taxes, then understand it takes people to do that, to move those lines. And as long as the public who's demanding that we cut these budgets recognize that and do whatever they can to make us efficient by paying their taxes on time and through the mail or through the web, and not demanding that we be present when they all show up in mass and line up outside the door and then create quite a ruckus in the process of doing that. I'm more than willing to live with that. I would never change places with either one of you in those seats. It's a tough job. And we're talking about cutting the budgets. We're talking about becoming efficient. So as long as we all understand that, both the commission and the public, that means less service. That means less convenient service. Then I will do my best to make that department as efficient as I can. But please understand, come January 1st, we will probably cut our hours. The phones may not be answered as efficiently as they can be, or as quickly as that you would like them to be. If we understand that, and I'll live within that, and I'll do my best to make sure that we do whatever we can to make it as good as we can, but we can't continue to do more with less.
Mr. Madam Chair.
Yes.
If I understand the process, and I don't claim that I completely, any excess that's remaining in the motor vehicle fund returns to the county's general fund balance. Is that correct?
That is correct. Whatever the amount is that's in my 24M account as of December 31st, I will cut a check, or I'm by law required to cut a check for that amount on June the 1st. Why June the 1st? That's because I am a fee-based operation. I have to have at least some funds to operate the first 6 months. So they allow me to essentially borrow that money for the first 6 months until I can, so I can pay my bills and allow me to build up enough reserves so I'm not living from day to day on pennies. Now, there would be some who would say, well, if you allow me to do that, if you fund my Treasury Department, I would spend even more money on the motor vehicle. The truth is, January and February are my slowest months as far as revenue coming in. So I must, if I'm a good administrator anyway, and I want to pay my bills in January and February, I must hold at least 2 months' worth of funds back, which guarantees the county is going to get somewhere between $75,000 and $150,000, almost guaranteed. And so that's, you know, that's a pretty good chunk of money. And so, you know, it's not possible for me to take all of the money and not provide that to the county. Let me also point out, it may not be publicly known, but because of the debacle that we had last year, the state has decided that they are going to have each and every one of the 105 county treasurers sign a personal contract with the state of Kansas that says that I will meet certain levels of performance. If I do not meet those levels of performance, they will pull the duties of the motor vehicle from the county and either privatize that or give it to other counties. So if I do not keep that, well, let me go further to say, it is firmly believed throughout the state that the only reason that law was, or that action was taken because of Shawnee County. So we are in the crosshairs, if you will, and we need to prove something that we can do it. Now, do I believe that will happen? I hope not during my watch. I'll do everything I can to keep it from happening. But if it should happen, then you can guarantee that an outside vendor or another county is not going to perform that function only to deliver the excess to Shawnee County at the end of the year. It's either going to go as profits if it's it's an outside vendor. They're going to run an efficient operation and take that as their profit, or the other county is going to want to tap into those funds themselves. After all, it is their people doing that. So it's essential that we do a good job in Shawnee County for the people who have to come in and register their vehicles. And if you look at the total picture, it could cost the county hundreds of thousands of dollars if we do not do what we're required to do. I don't say that as a threat. I say that as just, you know, we just need to put that elephant on the table. And again, I'm more than willing to try to work with this. I'm just putting everyone, including the public, on notice that do not expect the Treasurer's Department to, you know, to fly like an eagle if you treat us like a turkey.
Now, Mr. Ma, if we increase the funding to the Treasurer's Office by $50,000, and again, using these as hypothetical numbers, and then you have $50,000 left over at the end of the year for motor vehicle, and that flows back into the general revenue, it's the same money, isn't it?
It's the same money, that's true.
And this is all fine and good, and this model works until the state says any excesses in the motor vehicle funds go to the state and not to the county.
Well, we're all in trouble if that happens anyway. And no matter what I do, I really don't think that they're going to look at Larry Ma in particular or Shawnee County and say that that's not something they want to do. If that's a decision they make, it'll be on a statewide basis. And God only knows they're hurting for money too. So I can't speak, even though I'm married or was married to a state legislator, I can't speak for what they might do next. Sorry, the band is watching. And I thought long and hard about what I would say this morning if I had the opportunity. I don't see any of these things as a threat, or I really do not envy your position. We are in deep trouble in this county, and I don't think we're alone. I think the state of Kansas, the federal government for that matter, have the same issue. But I would like to be on record, you cannot continue to cut your budget and provide the same level of service. And as long as everyone understands that, including the public and the people who do not want their taxes to rise, then understand you're going to get less. Less money buys less. At least that's the way my math works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wanting to comment? Commissioners, any action? I'm sorry.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Cavis from your Shawnee County Weed Department.
Morning, John.
cleaners at the office, and so I had to lock the doors and come in. I just wanted to say a few things. I appreciate the time this morning. I did hear Dave Sturvins talk about his budget and what percentage of it is of the total pie, and I know a piece of pie is a piece of pie, but we're a small slice too. And I believe it was Thursday that there was a motion to reduce the weed department budget again to $200,000. I just wanted to let you know the last time your weed department operated on $200,000 was 1983. Okay? So that's really all I had to say, and that's what I have to say. I know I've said many times the last few years that your weed department can't operate at $300,000, so I'm perplexed on how it's going to operate on $200,000. But thank you for your time.
Mr. Kavis?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me why the weed department wouldn't be able to operate within the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation, given that Parks and Recreation has personnel that can take and process credit cards, they have personnel that can answer phones, they have personnel that are certified weed applicators, and why we couldn't have the weed department fall within the confines or within the purview of the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation?
There's absolutely no reason why your Parks and Rec department couldn't, or your weed department couldn't be within your Parks and Rec department. You're exactly right. And it's not, it wouldn't be something new. Douglas County has a similar operation. Johnson County has a similar operation. It's not the norm throughout the state, but wouldn't be the first time. But I would like to say it takes money to operate the weed department, whether it's going to be in the weed department or it's going to be in the Parks and Rec department. It has been a standalone department for 75 years, and it's not that it couldn't operate in the Parks department, but it takes money either place.
And the only thing I would add to that is also the Parks and Recreation Department has their own horticulturists, which are, they have knowledge of the plants. And I mean, the primary thing that your office has is the ability to work with the public in identifying noxious weeds and how to treat and to reduce that as a threat.
You're absolutely correct, but I don't want to be flippant, but I think you're assuming that either one of those two departments doesn't have anything to do. I'm pretty sure that Parks and Rec department employees are very saturated with work, and so are we. So it makes sense to consolidate and save money, because I know you folks are in a tough situation, and yes, it would work, but it still takes people. Literally, I had to shut the door, and 5 or 6 people were there this morning, and I helped somebody as I was locking the door and come over. So there has to, if you're going to have a weed department, there has to be someone to provide those services. One thing that I would like to say, I know no one likes to pay property tax, but the weed department the property tax is the perfect tax to pay for the weed department. The weed department services protect property, so property taxes should fund the weed department. Landowners that use the noxious weed department or the weed department improve their properties, make them more valuable, and a little money that they send in to support the weed department. So I hope I answered your question.
Thank you.
John, and I appreciate Commissioner Cook bringing this up, but I think one disadvantage is that you are a standalone department and you don't have the backup to help with other things such as answering the phone and that sort of thing. I mean, whether it's Parks and Recreation or Public Works and moving the facility, I don't know. But I think there has to be, we're to that point, that there has to be some conversation going forward. And I'm hopeful that you will be receptive to that.
Yes, I would work with you folks or anybody. I will like to say, and I have not spoke to the sheriff about this particular item, but the way the city of Topeka does it is that department, their weeds and code compliance of weeds issues is done within their police department.
Right.
We are a regulator. Our department is a regulator. We force the noxious weed law, a Kansas state statute, on landowners. That is our primary function. The extension office can identify, I had a weed this morning. I could have sent her to the extension office, and I think I went ahead and did, but I told her what it was. All those services could be done by horticulturists at the Parks Department or extension agents that do those kind of work, that do that work every day, all day. But the important function that makes our department different than just a service is that We provide regulation. We force landowners to do things that they may or may not want to do under the auspice of a Kansas noxious weed law. And so I would like, if you're making those discussions or having those discussions, that, I don't know, the sheriff's office, they carry guns. I don't want them shooting me, but that, that's where I think it belongs, because it is law enforcement. Obviously not to how they view law enforcement, but it is law enforcement.
Thank you,
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Archer. Did you have any-
Thank you.
Jeff. Anyone else? Deputy Marr, are you coming to the podium, or, okay, okay, I'm just checking, I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Commissioners, is there any action at this time on the 2014 budget? I would move to reconsider the emergency management budget. Is there a second?
Second.
So motion by Commissioner Bueller to reconsider the emergency management budget, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no.
No.
Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Archer dissenting. And at this time, I would move that the total amount, would be a 10% versus a 50%. See if I get a second on that. It would be a reduction of $24,234 from their 2013 budget, I'm sorry. Is there a second? That motion dies for lack of a second. I'll entertain another motion.
Madam Chair, I would move that we move emergency management at its 2014 proposed amount to the direction of the Shawnee County Sheriff.
I don't know if that action can be done, can it, counsel? And I would strongly object to that.
Historically, when we do things like that, it's done by resolution and after negotiation a bit with the elected official who's doing that, much like we do with CECC. We have a governing document that helps there. Whenever you're moving something with an elected official, you have to be just a little bit careful. I'm not saying that's a bad idea by any means, because we've done it before. We did it with CECC. So, but usually we have a chance to get ready for something like that.
So can that motion be entertained then? Or
Oh, sure, you
but
can do it.
Still do it, but
Yeah.
formalize it in a resolution is what you're saying.
I think if I had my druthers, I would have that motion phrased as, with the intent to begin operations on January 1, 2014, dependent upon a resolution or agreement being reached with the Sheriff's Office and the Board of County Commissioners. And that way you're leaving yourself some flexibility in the next 4 months in how we do this.
Madam Chair, given that, I would amend my motion to the indication of the county councilor that we begin on January 1, dependent upon a resolution.
So that would leave the emergency management budget as what's set for 2014? I mean, that amount?
It would leave it at that amount then.
At what amount specifically?
121,783.
That's correct.
I'm sorry, did you say at the requested 14 amount?
No, no, no.
Oh, oh.
At what we had
Oh, okay.
approved on
Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So motion by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer.
But I would like to make sure I understand what we're doing. Could you capitalize?
I guess you were saying.
In short
Yes.
form, we would be adding the amount of $121,783 to the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office to be in line with assuming those duties and responsibilities upon passing a resolution.
And did you want to include that language with intent to begin operation on January 1, 2014, and dependent upon a resolution, negotiated resolution, or, I mean,
Yes.
we want that language that Rich had.
The language that Ms. Reckert had. And Commissioner Archer, my thought behind it was that we recognize that we have a need for emergency management, but I believe that within the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office, they would be able to assist in those duties and along with the protections of the Stafford Act and meet those obligations.
I wholeheartedly second that motion.
So motion by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. I'm going to object. I was here when emergency management was under CCC and IT, and it was one director, and it did get lost. And I firmly believe that there's a balance in power, nothing against the sheriff, and I don't know if he is here, but I think that it deserves a separate department. That department works with emergency support functions, with COOP planning throughout the county, not just in response, but in recovery and preparedness and mitigation. And I strongly hope you reconsider. It doesn't sound like it, but I've been there, done that, and it got lost. And so I would hope you reconsider when that resolution comes forward. I know we have to adopt a budget, and once we give those funds to an elected official, they have that ability to spend those dollars as they see fit. So the emergency management could be reduced even further. I don't think we can afford that as a community not to be prepared. I don't want to have to explain to the rest of the community, we did not do this because we cut their budget. We didn't plan for continuity of operations. We weren't able to keep our government flowing. We haphazardly spent money in response to a disaster. So I'm just going to make it very clear I'm completely opposed to this, and nothing against the sheriff's office or the deputies here, but I think there has to be a balance. So all those in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Bueller dissenting. Any further action on the budget?
Madam Chair, I would move to reconsider the allocation for the Shawnee County Treasurer's Office.
There's a motion by Commissioner Cook. Is there a second? That motion dies for lack of a second.
I will make a motion to reconsider the allocation to the appraiser's office. We currently have it, it's my understanding, at $1,604,554.
Is there a motion to reconsider?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
Is there a
am
motion
sorry.
to reconsider the appraiser's office allocation?
Second.
There's a second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. No comments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm sorry I was out of order there. Yeah, I would like to include the appraiser's office in the party that everybody else is having in a 10% reduction. And so I would recommend that the 2014 budget amount for the appraiser's office is $1,460,690.
And that reflects a 10%?
Yes.
And that's even though they came in at a requested budget under 18,000 under budget?
Well, and that's correct.
Proposed.
They did, but the fact is that we're cutting Parks and Rec by 10%. We're cutting other organizations by 10%. And I think it's appropriate that the appraiser's office share the pain.
And just to clarify, there are some that were cut 10%. There are some, like the courts, around 6%, public works around 6%. So they're not all that are cut 10%. I just wanted to clarify that.
That's true.
Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. further motions?
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that we reconsider the Sheriff's Department budget.
So motion to reconsider, is there a second? That motion dies for lack of a second.
Madam Chair, if we could reconsider the appraiser's office.
It's a motion to reconsider the appraiser's office budget. I'll second that motion.
Madam Chair, if we could have a motion for a cut of 5% to the appraiser's office, even recognizing that they are under budget, recognizing the drastic cuts in personnel that have occurred over the last several years. I would concur with our Commissioner Archer that we are in a very difficult position, and this will affect a number of people and departments.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook. I'll second the motion. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Waiting
Any
for Betty.
further reconsiderations?
Madam Chair, I would move to reconsider the Health Department.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook to reconsider the health agency. I'll second that motion. All in favor say aye, opposed no.
No.
Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Archer dissenting.
Madam Chair, I would move that we draw the Health Department, not changing the amount of the cuts, but the manner in which it is distributed between the health agency and then the health agency gatekeepers and other services.
There's the motion by Commissioner Cook. I will second that motion. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Yes.
Madam Chair, did we change the allocation to the clerk officially so that it is 10% of the 2013 and not?
I believe Betty was going to correct it as a matter of error.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I had marked down.
Yes. I believe I did correct that as an error. Yes, I did correct that. I didn't believe there was another motion
No.
needed.
No,
I
I
don't
just
believe
wanted to
so.
make sure that.
We
Yes.
captured it, yes.
Madam Chair, I would move to this, we reconsider the allocation to the ambulance department.
There's a motion by Commissioner Cook to reconsider the ambulance allocation. I'll
Second.
Second by
Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Madam Chair, I would remind the commission that under contract with the ambulance department, they are entitled to receive a fair compensation. There were $300,000 in excess funds last year. There were $500,000 in excess funds the year before that. There's also a request by the ambulance department to raise the fee structure. I had originally made a request of a cut for $300,000. That was then reduced to $100,000. I would move that we reduce the ambulance department by an additional $100,000.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Cook for an additional $100,000. Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Commissioners, I would make a motion to reconsider the Expo Center capital outlay.
Second.
So second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor
Could I
say.
ask you just to hold
Slow
off for a
down?
minute
Sure.
while I get this appraiser's amount
Okay.
computed?
And that was 5%.
It's 5%, yeah.
I believe that is $80,227.
Oh. But is that from the 14 request?
The 13, well, Yeah, the 14 because it was smaller.
As my math teacher would say, please check my calculations.
Okay, I'm ready now, thank you.
There's a motion, I made a motion to reconsider the Expo Center capital outlay. Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. And I would, the 45,610, that the adjustment, this is where, Betty, I had a question of you earlier. The request was 250,000.
Yes,
The 2013 budgeted amount was 104.
yes. What was agreed
And
upon
right now, we
was-
have 150 in there.
That's correct.
And I would move that it would remain at the 2013 budgeted amount, the 104,390. Is there a second? That motion dies for lack of a second. Any other adjustments?
Madam Chair, for information purposes, if we find ourselves in the middle of the year needing to spend money into the Expo Center, would we be able to do so out of contingency funds?
Up to the
You can.
contingency amount. Right now, we have that set at
500,000.
500,000. Or it could be out of the capital outlay fund, which is set right now at
At
$1
$1
million.
million.
And when H.R. Cook came to speak to us indicating that there were some positive things that happened at the end of last year with the Cirque du Soleil
Yes.
and having some excess funds there and not anticipating that this year. And as we have an aging building that is going to be in need of unanticipated expenditures, we would, if we found ourselves in the middle of the year needing to, we could use that from either capital outlay or contingency.
Yes.
And again, Commissioner, I guess my reasoning for possibly making that adjustment is, as some of our speakers have mentioned today, the diversification of our revenue and the fact that we have a plan in place at the Expo Center for not only renovations, maintenance, but improvements, and the possibility of a sales tax and taking care of that, not property tax. So just throw that out there. If we did not have that sales tax for bridges and the roads, the improvements we've made, our Public Works Department would look much different. But those do not come to this body they are approved by the voters every 10 years. Anything else?
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
would move to reopen the Expo Center capital outlay.
Motion by Commissioner Cook to reconsider Expo Center capital outlay. I'll second the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Madam Chair, given the explanation by the chair, I would move the capital outlay to the 2013 amount of 104,390.
There's a motion by Commissioner Cook. I'll second that motion. Discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
No.
Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Archer dissenting.
Madam Chair, I would move to reopen the county clerk's office.
It's a motion to reconsider the county clerk budget. Motion by Commissioner Cook. I'll second the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Madam Chair, I would move to make an allocation of $45,610 to the clerk's office, given the increased need of processing and the needs upon the county and how it serves the county functions. That would make the cut to the
Yes.
clerk's office
That's what I was
half
just
of,
checking, yeah.
it would be a reduction of 5% instead of 10.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook.
And so the amount that would be levied would be 760 and change? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yes.
So it would be a 5% change.
Well, we would take what I'm asking to do, quite frankly, is to take the $45,610 that we just cut from the Expo Center outlay and move that to the clerk's office.
Okay.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Any other housekeeping items that you need us to consider? I'm not ending discussion, but I just checking in with you. Are we, okay?
Is the number that is now at the bottom a true?
Yes. And of course, I'll double check afterwards, but I believe so. I believe I've made all the changes that have been requested.
Madam Chair, I would move to reopen again the Treasurer's Office.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook to reconsider the Treasurer's Department budget. I'll second the motion.
Madam Chair, I would move to make a increase to the 2014 budget for the sheriff of 50,000. I'm sorry, treasurer, said sheriff, treasurer's budget by 50,000. Again, given the explanation of Mr. Ma and the concerns presented with ethically and legally doing his job.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Discussion?
I have confidence in Mr. Ma's ability to manage at a lower level. He's shown through his business career and the changes in the proficiency in the treasurer's office, and he will have over 4 months to plan on how to make it happen. I have confidence in his ability, so I won't support this increase.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
No.
Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Archer dissenting.
Can I make a statement?
Yes, ma'am.
I think Mr. Archer has made the comment more than once that we would have, the departments will have 4 months to adjust to the changes that would make in my particular office, and I do thank you for the additional amount, but in my office, and I'm sure the other departments are the same way, we won't have the time to adjust because our employees will be leaving as soon as the budget cuts are created. So really, it's going to impact our 13 budget, and it's going to impact our 14 as far as those of us that are service departments. It's going to impact us immediately because when you take the jobs away, and I know that the other service departments are in the same. We're all in the same boat. But that just let you know that it's going to be something that's going to hit right away.
Right.
Not
Sure.
not
Sure.
January 1.
Sure. Anyone else? Anything else? Commissioners, we will put unless you're ready to adopt today, I will put the adoption of our 2014 budget on the commission agenda for Thursday. What's the pleasure of the commission?
I would move to have it on Thursday. I need some time to digest and review.
Okay, we will make no other changes, and Betty, if you could get us a new spreadsheet, appreciate you keeping up with us. Thank you. Next item, please.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Just real briefly, Barry Beagles, Shawnee County Planning Department. An issue that we are currently working through is an amendment to the Shawnee County zoning regulations to craft something about special events. These are temporary short-term uses of land that are not permanent venues, but they may occur, once or twice during the course of the year. And as a result of a recent issue that was brought before the County Commission and dealt with, it was drew to our attention to the fact that we don't have anything dealing with temporary short-term uses of land, so we're going through that process. The Planning Commission at its last meeting has elected to go ahead and form a special working group to try to work through this with interested parties, and then finally come back before the Planning Commission on a final draft, hopefully, and then get it adopted and bring it forward to you. What I'm trying to do is just take this time and opportunity to encourage anyone who is interested in participating with this working group to let my office know, and they will be added to the list. I've issued a press release through the County Commission office to release to all media outlets indicating that, but I just want to take this time just to once again reiterate that we're looking for anyone who wants to participate to do so.
Very good, thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
Is there need? Not, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Always good to see you. Always good to see you.
Oh, thanks.